Okay, imagine this. Your family vacation to the North American plains could include going to see herds of 10,000-year-old woolly mammoths. Sound good? Scientists are weighing the ethics of what is called de-extinction, the process of bringing the woolly mammoth and other extinct animals back to the world. Advances in the field of genomics research makes the idea an actual conceivable, let's say, plausibility. Ross Macphee is a mammalogist at New York's American Museum of Natural History, and he's here in our New York studio. Ross, welcome to Arise America.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Okay, so in an article that I was reading in a science publication, this is what it said. It says, de-extinction, the process of bringing back the saber-toothed tiger and all the things I just said in the introduction, has become increasingly plausible, a conceivable reality. Really?
Well, yes, but don't expect to see woolly mammoths in Central Park in the next year or two. We're just perched on the cusp of being able to do this work. And my own prediction is that we're at least a decade away from having any mammals being produced in this manner.
Okay, I want to walk through this one step at a time. So before I get to my why would we want to question, let's go through what's the science here that would allow this to be a possibility?
Well, everyone's probably heard of Dolly the sheep and cloning.
Right.
The idea that you can take an egg from one organism and put in the genome, the nucleus of another organism, put it into a surrogate mother, and several months later you get something that should look like the original that you got the nucleus from. That's cloning. That hasn't worked out so well. It turns out that a lot of the individuals that have been cloned have various problems, developmental problems, health problems. They tend to die young. They don't reproduce very well. So cloning the mammoth, that's probably not on. What's the game changer is known as synthetic biology. If there's a story here, it's synthetic biology, because that's going to change your life, not bringing back de-extinct or de-extincting mammals. Mm-hmm. And the theory here is, and actually the practicality, is that now scientists are in a position to act much like engineers, not with cement and steel, but instead with genetic material, and build genes, build chromosomes, introduce them into other organisms, or even create organisms that have never existed. De-extinction is just a small part of this. This is the idea of bringing back now extinct species, but the idea that you can convince bacteria to produce petroleum, that's one of them. You may have seen the story just a while ago about the Frankenburger that Sergey Brin funded, convincing bacteria to make.
Isn't this concept sort of already being used in agriculture?
It is. It's very similar to what we now call genetically modified foods. Mm-hmm. And it's got a good side and a bad side. The good side is that you're introducing genes or materials that are going to make sure that whatever the crop is, it's more resistant to drought, more resistant to disease, things of that sort. The bad part of it is that one of the things that's being done by one of the companies, whose name I won't mention, is that the seeds are sterile. So farmers have to get new seed every year. They can't save anything. They have no seed crop.
Mm-hmm. Well, a Rise writer that I know of said that everything that is permissible is not necessarily profitable. And in fact, you did a lecture not long ago where you talked about some of the ethical implications of this technology. All right, I don't want you to give the lecture again, but I happened to come across some 5 questions that you said needed to be asked. And they include, where would the woolly mammoth live if we were able to bring them back from extinction? What would they eat? How would they proliferate? A couple more there too. Which of these is your biggest concern if this were to happen?
Here's my deal. I'm very concerned about animal welfare, and I don't want to see a herd of woolly mammoths that nobody cares about released somewhere on the Great Plains to take care of itself. If we're going to bring back these organisms because we feel that humans were responsible for their extinction, as many scientists do, then I think we have an obligation. We have a permanent obligation to take care of them. I don't want to see a repetition of what was done with the horse in this country, for example. Horses evolved here.
The wild Mustang that you're
wild
talking
Mustangs,
about.
Yes. There is a management problem in the West, but it is not a management problem that is well controlled by euthanizing large numbers of horses. If anything, it's the reverse. And what we should be thinking about is that this is the archetypical example of a de-extincted species, because it died out here 10,000 years ago, was brought back from Asia, where earlier populations had gotten to, and it prospers because this is home.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about why this might be possible for the woolly mammoth, which is behind this shoulder, but not necessarily the T-Rex, which is over here on our wall.
T-Rex is easier. 65 million years old, no hope of any DNA. For woolly mammoth, it's quite a bit different. The last of them died out only 3,000 or 4,000 years ago on an island north of Siberia. And we have very good DNA now as a result of much work being done in the last decade. It is now feasible, and it's being done, to compare the ways in which the genome of woolly mammoth differs from that of Asian elephant. These are closely related species. And using the Asian elephant's genome as a scaffold, as we call it, you can compare and contrast which genes are the same and which are slightly different. So the idea would be, ultimately, to introduce genes that are like that of a woolly mammoth in a developing Asian elephant embryo. And
All
the
right.
hope is
in my last few seconds, and I really literally have a last one, why would we want to do this?
Because we can.
Which not necessarily means we should.
Well, it's like your friend said, it'll be profitable.
Very, very interesting. Ross Macphee, thank you so much for coming to
Great
explain
pleasure.
this.
Thank you, Debbie.
And the implications for how it might benefit humans is actually very exciting.
It is.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you right back here on Arise America. I'm Debbie Turner-Bell. Bye-bye.